All right, guys, welcome to God's Country Shooting and Outdoors. I, uh, I just finished up 2 weeks ago trying to get some things done around the house. So I hope this video finds everyone well. I do have the other video of the testimony I shared a little bit with Brother Nick Shortridge. Um, Man, I have had a time. The devil does not want me to share that video. My decent camera broke. So I grabbed my backup camera at church, throwed it on. I got about half of the interview and got down towards um, the the last part of the interview and talking about the outdoors and stuff, and none of it recorded. So I got about 45 minutes. I still want to share that video with you guys. This video is just, I want to just talk to you guys a little bit. I'd like to do a little bit more of this, but I want to try to see if I can get the rest of his testimony, because um, he and another friend of mine, one of my teachers from college, that turned out to be a preacher and a pastor. God just set it all up, worked it all out. You'd think I'm a pretty good sized guy. I wouldn't be afraid of a whole lot. I was terrified to go to college at 42 years old. And man, the Lord just worked every bit of it out. So for you guys and ladies who may not want to hear a bunch of talking, I get it. That's fine. I will get back to more shooting stuff a little later. Um, but I do want to share with you for just a moment before I share Brother Nick's testimony, or at least the first half. I do hope to maybe sit back down with him and kind of cover some more of it. He and a friend of mine, again, they actually have a little guide fishing business that they do spring, summer, and fall. So I've definitely got a trip coming in the spring, maybe early summer, where we'll share some just Christian fellowship, some fishing, hunting. We get along great because we're a lot of the same spirit. But man, what a testimony to should have been dead, um, and God saved him. To should have been in prison for the amount of drugs that he sold and done. Yeah, he's got an awesome testimony, and I would recommend that if you've got anybody that is struggling with addiction, that's struggling with things like that, he has a very powerful testimony to share. So maybe we do it in two parts. We share the first part, and it is a little long, but it's worth it. It's about 45 minutes, but yeah, it's a great testimony. So also, um, it's the time of year where it's going to be kind of hard to do some of the bullet testing that I want to do. So what I might back up and do is just do some shooting, because who doesn't like shooting guns on this channel, right? I mean, come on, that's what we love to do, is hunt and shoot guns. So I am planning on doing that. Maybe we get some different bullets started, see how they group in the guns, and then back up in the spring and maybe do some bullet testing, uh, some different cartridges. I do have several more guns in the gun safe. Bless my wife's heart. She knows I love them, and she knows I love God, and she really supports me. But today's video, I really want to ask you guys some questions based on this. This video might be just a little bit longer than usual, but hopefully you'll tune in and stay tuned in. I asked the question, why do you hunt? And there's a lot of things that we can go into. One of the commenters said that they taught their children, through hunting, they taught a lot of different lessons. They taught them to hunt and the biblical side of it. And I've said before, there's a lot of morality and a lot of ethics that goes into hunting. Most every one of us could say, if we've been hunting for any time, that we love the outdoors. We love the beauty of the outdoors. we love the camaraderie, and there's just a number of things. And I agree with every bit of that. My uncle Donnie, he worked in the mobile home business, had his own business delivery and setup, and at the base of Clinch Mountain Wildlife Preserve, or whatever it's called, we call it Tumbling. There's a little park where you can set up RVs and campers, and he used to pull a little 10 by 52 single wide up there with a wood stove in it, and a bunch of the brothers of the church and kids, grandkids, they may be 16, 18 people sometimes up there, and there'd be a couple of the old timers that just didn't feel like hunting much anymore, but they were the camp cooks. They told stories, kept food going. They gave advice to some of the younger hunters like me, and we just had a great time of fellowship and Bible study and camaraderie. Sometimes it was just the adults and maybe a few of the older teenagers, and they learned from the older men that were hunting. And there's just a lot of lessons. I remember my uncle Donnie shooting a pretty decent sized spike, and another guy was just around the point, and Donnie shot it from the top of a ridge to the bottom. It was a pretty long shot, especially with open sights on 30-06. I think it was the Remington 7600, 74 7600, and he starts off the ridge, and another guy shoots it, and the other guy was like, I've never killed a deer before. I'm so excited. And Donnie helped him field dress his first deer, and didn't say anything, let him have it, and went on. Just congratulated him. And it was an exciting point for that guy, but it was even more of an exciting time for my Uncle Donnie, because it was an opportunity for him as a pastor to be able to witness a little bit to that guy in the woods, and have the decency and the love of Christ in his life, to not argue the deer, but just congratulate him, and there's a lot of lessons. So some of the lessons that I hope to talk about a little bit later on this channel, and I'd like to build up some people, some not sponsors, but some commentators, I guess, or people to interview, like wildlife game biologists I used to know some years ago. But one of the things I want us to think about, and you can look up this information, one of the reasons that we hunt is because we recognize that we need to keep the deer herd, the bear herd, all of those things in check. And not only is it something that we as conservationists realize, but it's actually kind of written in our DNA. And I say that because of this, because in the beginning, when God turned heaven and earth, or turned earth over to humanity, he put Adam and Eve in charge of the garden, but he also put Adam and Eve in charge and gave them dominion over the animals of the earth and the fowls of the air and of the water, the ocean. And having that responsibility also means they were the first conservationists, recognizing that they were in charge of naming the animals, but they were also in charge of seeing how the herds progressed. We failed miserably in the United States, back in the 1800s. There's a lot of photos and videos that we can watch of, or photos that we can see, and little videos on clips on what people's done for information to help with build up the conservationists around America. But I look at some of these, like Dwight Eisenhower and different ones who were big into conservation, and it makes me realize how important our jobs are. And so I was looking into some information about, and I looked on both sides. I looked on the hunter side of information. I looked on the PETA side kind of stuff for information, and the information's pretty close. So just white-tailed deer in America is somewhere around 35 million deer across the United States. So 35 million whitetails And then there is about, I think they said 2 million or so, let's say 6 million, are killed by hunters each year. There's almost that many that's killed by car incidents. And I had all this information on one of my cameras and tablets, but I don't have it in front of me, so this isn't verbatim, but I think you'll get the gist of it. So if we look at those two statistics, and I think those numbers are actually fairly high in comparison to what they gave, that's 12 million. If you're looking at just 35 million deer and you only take 12 million of those deers out, that's still a significant amount of deer that will breed and keep the population rising. And that's why we have such an overwhelming population of deer, and why so many are hit by vehicles is because there's not enough hunters keeping the deer in check. The population is exploding all over the United States. So as conservationists, we recognize that because the population gets high, and I talk to people that are up around Danville, Virginia, and Maryland and stuff, and they tell me, the populations are so bad that the deer look like little dogs, and there's quite a bit of disease and stuff going on in those deer because they're unhealthy. There's too many deer, too little food, and that's a problem. I've said for years, and I don't think you'll ever get an insurance person to tell you this, but I believe that the insurance companies absolutely love deer hunters because we help keep the insurance claims down. But when we look at that, we recognize we really need to not just hunt, but we need to create new hunters. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about in this video is as Christians especially, and conservationists, teaching young people or teaching people hunting is an important thing. And there's so many other things that can be taught. I remember teaching my boys, hunting, and the first time that they took a life, of an animal, it was hard on them. And, for me, it's one of those, I still respect God's creatures. We want to make a good, clean shot. And that's one of the things that I always preach to my children is wait on the shot. If it ain't there, don't take it. Let's wait for the right shot, wait for the right moment, know your gun, know what it's going to do, and know how to shoot it. And my children, they learned to shoot guns. They learned how to hunt. They learned how to make ethical shots, not just pop shots. Some people can pull up and shoot, and that's great. They've got a lot of experience. But for young people, learning how to shoot is important. And then when it comes down to taking that life, knowing what to say and how to use that moment to teach them. There are so many things that we can teach our children about life and death and responsibility by hunting. There's just so many ethical reasons why we hunt, but there's so many reasons and so many teaching lessons that we can give our children on responsibility. We teach them work ethic. We teach them, the importance of life. I believe that most people, I know there are some that you hear about that love torturing animals, this, that, and the other, and they're a whole different ball game of humanity. But for most people, learning how to squirrel hunt, and turkey hunt, and deer hunt, all of these different things, when they pull that trigger and they realize they've taken a life, it's hard on them in a way. They have to come to terms with what they did, which is part of the importance of a step higher. If they learn how to hunt and why the hunting is important, it's part of the whole mentality, a reason why. It's part of keeping control of the population of animals, but it's also about teaching them how to hunt for food and sustenance. It's teaching them how to have moral character and ethics. They come to a place where they recognize that taking that life is their responsibility and that life is precious. One of the things that I really harp on my kids about is when we take a deer, especially if it's a good, clean kill, when we find that deer, which is another lesson, teaching them how to track, teaching them the signs, teaching them with hunting, teaches them how to read the terrain, how to judge the wind. There's so many different things. I mean, I could just keep going on, and I know I can't because this video won't be watchable for being too long. But when you teach these kids how important life is, and you make a good clean kill, and you find that deer, and it's deceased, it's dead, you check it. My next thing before I even tag it is to kneel down before that deer and thank God. Thank Him for the food, thanking Him for the ability, thank Him for the clean kill, thank Him for all that He gives to us. It's important. But again, there's a lot of other reasons. When I go hunting, I see the beauty of God's handiwork in the sunrise and the sunset. I see the elements of life working around us. I've been in ground blinds where you see something moving under the leaves and a little mole pops up. And you see, I've been hunting and seen bow hunting, watching squirrels and a hawk come swooping down through the trees and grab a squirrel that I'm watching and take off through the woods. And I know we all have those stories, but it's the way life works. The whole system which God made is a delicate system, and only a God that has intelligence can put such an intricate little system together the way it is. Anyways, I've run my mouth a lot in this video. Please bear with me. I love God. I love hunting. But I really do want to hear from you guys. What are some things that you find so interesting about hunting? What are some lessons that you guys teach through hunting? What is your ideas on being a conservationist? What's the important points that really stick out in your mind? And maybe even some highlights of some camaraderie stories. I've got plenty myself that I could share, but I want to hear you guys talk about it. Please be sure to comment. I love hearing from you guys. This isn't just a one-man show. I'm doing this because I love the Lord, and I love talking with other people who love hunting and shooting and outdoors and hiking and all of that. So until next time, please remember, love God, love hunting, love your country, love your family, and be about the Lord's business. Okay? Until next time, have a blessed day.